Hello class, my name is Dr. Camarada. I'll be your instructor this session. I'm glad that you're taking time to review these tips. Many students have found them to be very helpful, and the students that have followed them have been very successful in my classes. You can consider these tips to be an implicit contract, something with which you're going to agree and you're going to do your best to implement. There are really only four principles. They're very straightforward. However, they can be difficult to implement. They are show up, be here, nobody gets to be wrong, and everybody gets to be right. So I'm going to explain a little bit about each one of these and why they're important for your success. The first principle is really very simple. It's show up. This means being present in your class, whether it's online or on ground. Online it is even more important. So make sure that you log in a minimum of 3 days a week and you participate in the online activities, participate in the discussions, do your quizzes if there's quizzes, look at what's going on in terms of resources that are being provided, other videos, and make sure that you are active in the classroom. As they say, 80% of life is simply showing up, and nowhere is this more true than in classes and in learning activities. So figure out what this means for you in terms of your time allocation. This requires some time management skills. So make sure that you've allocated sufficient time for the class in your life. The second principle is be here. This means that you're allowing yourself to focus on the class materials by eliminating distractions and making sure that you understand exactly what's needed on a week-to-week basis, even on a day-to-day basis. This again is around time management, but it's also around finding a place where you can eliminate distractions. Turn off your cell phone, close your office door. If you can't find a place at home or at work where you can study properly, maybe go to the library or find another place where there are no distractions. You can spend some time really focusing on exactly what's going on in the class. You can do your reading, you can do your writing, editing, class participation. The goal here is to avoid multitasking. Multitasking is really a misnomer. It doesn't exist. What it is simply jumping from task to task, and it really reduces your effectiveness overall. So be here. When you're in the class, make sure that you're really in the class and you're focused on what's going on. The third principle is that nobody gets to be wrong. This is really about collegial discussions. This is about seeking to understand first rather than to be understood. This is not about stating opinions. It can be about stating opinions if you are refuting an argument or you are expanding on a discussion, as long as your opinions are supported by peer-reviewed data. We're really not interested in your unsupported opinions because these really are not relevant in an academic setting. What is relevant is arguments and information based on peer-reviewed validated studies. And so rather than making other people wrong by simply stating an opinion, if you are going to challenge someone, make sure that you have developed a very valid and cogent argument and supported by validated data from peer-reviewed studies. You can find these in the library. You can find them on Google Scholar. So rather than making other people wrong, seek to figure out why they're saying what they're saying. You can challenge them. Are you sure this data is complete? Have you thought about this? How about let's extend this? If you agree with them, you can extend it and cite some more studies. So nobody gets to be wrong. Now the flip side is that everybody gets to be right. This is your time to practice. Nobody that I know has ever been able to write in academic style, whether that be MLA or Turabian or APA, unless they've spent years figuring it out. APA and MLA and these other academic styles generally take about 3 years to figure out and implement fully. They're much more than formats. They're actually a way of thinking. And so once you become familiar with how the academic thought process works, you'll be able to implement these styles properly. Now, the only way to become familiar with the way the academic thought process works is to practice it. And that means practicing in discussions, practicing in papers, and getting involved in your academic activities. So the better you do will be a direct result of the amount that you practice. Think of this as a musical instrument. The more you practice, the better you get. Writing is that way. And getting involved in academic activities especially is that way. They can be very complex. However, the more time you spend with them, the better you're going to get. So this is your chance. Practice, get good at it, and adopt a different way of thinking that will serve you in the long run.
Well, now that you've had a brief explanation of each principle, you can see why they're important for you to be successful. I highly recommend that you take time to review each principle, figure out what it means for you as you participate in the class, figure out how you can implement it in the best way possible, and make sure that you follow the recommendations so you can be successful. I've had hundreds of students over the past 20 years or so follow these principles, and they have been very successful in the classes. The students that have not been successful are the ones that generally don't follow one or more of these principles. So please take the time to review them, figure out how they can fit into your life, and make them real for you. I wish you all the success in the class.